In today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why the real estate market is not going to crash in 2023. What's going on? My name is Ron with Abiera Team Real Estate, and as the year is winding down, I'm going to kind of give you an idea of where we stand with the real estate market and what to expect moving forward into the new year. So all of the details you can find in the description. I'll be talking about a lot of numbers, but basically where we stand now, the inventory is definitely down. Buyer demand is down about 60% from last year. It's taken about 90 days to sell a home here in Orange County. We have a 2-month supply of homes, and sort of the good news of a recent change was interest rate did drop a little bit. It's in the low 6s as of the time of this recording. So moving forward, I'll give you the 3 reasons why I don't think that we should ever expect a crash to happen, especially in 2023. Number 1 is going to be the low inventory. So take a look at this graph here. It's going to be very telling. It's going to show what the Orange County active inventory numbers were prior to the Great Recession in 2008 compared to what it looks like now. So if we look at the years 2006, 2007, the amount of inventory in the county peaked at about 18,000 homes. So if you look at the orange line there, where we stand today, we're about 3,200 homes. So that's such a huge delta for us to even consider us being at that same level of homes that sort of led to the Great Recession. So we're not even close to that. Number 2 is that 71% of all the mortgages in the state of California are at 4% or better. So this kind of leads towards why we have such low inventory. So I talked about in my last video that it's gonna take some type of life event for somebody to want to sell or want to move. A lot of people that need to upsize or downsize, if they're living in a home where it's too small or they're living in a home that's too big, most people right now are gonna choose to stay put. Nobody wants to go from a 4% interest rate or better to a 7% interest rate. So less movement there. Number 3 is that 17% of all the residential properties in the state of California, according to Bloomberg, are free and clear, no mortgage. So when you look at that number, you look at the amount of mortgages that are 4% or below and the amount of properties that have equity in them, the likelihood of anything coming close to a panic sale is going to be very, very low. So it's safe to say that it's going to be very unlikely that we would experience anything like 2008 in 2023. But if you are thinking about buying or selling in today's market, I'll share some advice for both sides. Number 1, if you're thinking about selling, my advice is there's no need to try to time the market on when it's going to be best for you to come on. If there's a life event that we had talked about and it's time to sell, then it's time to sell. But you need to know some strategies moving forward. The first thing is that you got to stick to the fundamentals. Price, presentation, that's not going to change. Those are always going to be important, especially when the buyer pool shrinks. Everything's got to check the boxes for any potential buyer. Right now, you're competing against interest rates and you're competing against buyer demand. So when all of that changes, let's say rates go down, that means buyer demand is going to go up and all the inventory is going to go up too. So now your competition is going to change. Right now, you're dealing with the interest rates and the buyer demand. So my recommendation is take a look at what's happening with your competition. Take a look at this email here from one of the new builders in the area. They're advertising rate buy downs. And again, I had talked about this in one of my last videos that in order to attract today's buyer, you really have to address the interest rate issue. So what they've done here is they're advertising the 2-1 buy down rate. And we had talked about this in the last video that this is very expensive. So the only way this is going to work is if, in this case, the builder, but sometimes if you as a seller, that might have to come from your concession in order to make a deal happen. So another important stat that I found was that 32% of all the sellers last month had to make some type of concession. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they had to lower their price. That could mean that they've done something for the buyer's closing costs in order to get their rate manageable. So keep that in mind if you are if you're a seller. Take a look at what the competition is doing, and you got to have that in your toolkit and be prepared to negotiate that if you are going to be a seller in this market. Next, I'll talk about the buyers, and I'm going to give you the same advice I gave to the sellers. There's no need to try to time the market on when it's right for you to purchase. What I will say is that just take advantage of the leverage you have now. So 9 months ago, sellers were not giving buyers a penny. In fact, you had to overpay in order to get a property. So now seeing what's being offered with new homes, that's a great avenue for you, but also use that leverage if you're looking at resale. That if the new homes are offering it, that's something that you could ask a seller to contribute towards to help get you into the property that you're looking for. So definitely seek seller concessions. Basically, to wrap it up for you as a buyer, don't wait for the right time. Wait for the right house. And when you do find the right house, how will you know if it's the right time? It's the right time if you could afford it. Don't jump and get whatever you can just because you win an offer. You've got to make sure that everything makes sense for you financially. Definitely, that's my advice for you guys as we round out the year. That's all I got for you. Enjoy the rest of the year, and I'll see you on the next one.